I really like this signing by the Browns, and I'm going to tell you why on today's show. As Justin Hardee, a Cleveland native, is coming home to play for the Brownies, and I think this is a really smart move by Andrew Berry and the Browns to beef up their special teams. And I'll tell you all about it on today's video. But this is why you subscribe to the channel. No signing is too small for us here at Chat Sports. And if you are looking for a Browns YouTube channel to keep you in the loop on every single news and rumors tidbit, hit that subscribe button down below. Get us to 34,000 subscribers. And if you want more reasons to subscribe, we go live every single Tuesday here on the channel. So come hang out with us 5 p.m. Eastern in a few hours as we break down the signing in even further detail. But let's get you guys familiar with Justin Hardee, as Ian Rapoport was the first one to break the news that the Browns are signing the former Jets special teamer, a Pro Bowler for New York back in 2022. Now, he is, I guess, technically a cornerback, but that is not his position. He has played a grand total of 2 defensive snaps over the last 4 seasons. He is a special teamer through and through. He's not a kick or punt returner. He's a coverage specialist, right? He's the guy that's going to be making the big plays down the field to limit the opposing team's punt and kick returns, which was Mike Ford's job last season. He left in free agency, and voila, you have your Mike Ford replacement. And I could make an argument that it's even an upgrade from what you had out of Mike Ford last year. But if you think about the direction the NFL is going with the new special teams rules, you're going to see a huge increase in punt and kick returns, right? The NFL has heavily incentivized teams to take the ball back in their kick returns. So if you're going to have a lot of teams putting a lot of attention on their return game, well, you should combat that by making sure you've got a good plan of attack to take down opposing teams' punt and kick returners. Insert Justin Hardee. This is what the Browns are signing him to do. Not to play defense, not to return the ball, but to make sure the other team does not have a Josh Cribbs moment or two against the Browns, right? Go back a few weeks ago, and I'll remind everyone of the new NFL kickoff rules where the kicking team will line up on the opposing team's 40-yard line and stay stationary until the ball hits the ground or one of the 2 return men for the returning team touches the football, and then there is an engagement in that 35-yard line area after the return team gets the ball out of the landing zone. So we've covered the new rule changes, but the spark notes of it is basically you're going to see a huge influx in kick returns because, well, teams aren't going to try and kick it out of the back of the end zone anymore. I mean, you look at the new touchback rules, and I think this is really relevant to why the Browns signed Justin Hardee. If a team kicks it out the back of the end zone, as most kickers like to do, the ball goes out to the 30-yard line, right? That's 5 yards ahead of where it was previously, which would be the 25. Whereas now, if teams just kick it into the landing zone and it rolls into the end zone, well, it goes out to the 20-yard line. A huge 10-yard difference, right? It's like a free first down basically for the other team. So what are opposing kickers going to try and do? They're going to try and kick it right around the 1 to 2 yard line to minimize a return, but also to make sure it doesn't go out the back of the end zone for a free 30-yard return. And so now kicking teams, they're going to have good return coverage specialists like Justin Hardee to make sure when they pin the ball at the 1 yard line, that return does not go out to the 35-yard line or so. And that's why I'm a big fan of this signing for the Browns. Now, here's Hardee's career background. From Glenville, right, from the Cleveland area, went to Illinois, UDFA, joined the Houston Texans, was on their practice squad to start his career. Then he went over to the Saints, which is where he started to emerge, even blocked a punt for a touchdown, was there for a few years, and then most recently with the New York Jets, where he was a 2022 Pro Bowler on special teams, and now he is back in Cleveland with the Browns. Now, the hard-pressing question we were all asking ourselves is, have you ever been to a Hardee's? Because when the signing broke, like, the first thing that popped in my mind was like, oh, Carl Hardee's or Hardee's? Carl Jr.'s or Hardee's? Which one's better? So be honest with me. Have you ever been to a Hardee's? I've never been. I thought they were somewhat of a myth until producer Trace was like, no, I'm a proud Hardee's attender. So let me know if you have ever been to a Hardee's before. Now, next up on the show, we're going to talk about special teams in general and the new return rules and how that will incentivize teams to take the ball out of the end zone. But more importantly, whether or not the Browns are in a good spot to, combat or to adjust to this new style of special teams in the NFL. But make sure to download the Game Time app. That's our proud sponsor today because spring is here, which means we've got baseball to watch. So if you want to go catch a Guardians game once the weather starts to really warm up, or if you want to go see a playoff basketball game, whether it's the Cavs or any other local team in your area, don't miss out on all the action because of ticket prices. With Game Time, you can get killer last-minute deals and all-in prices for all the big events. All you have to do is download the Game Time app and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Now, what I love about Game Time is it gives you a view from your seat before you purchase your ticket, so there are no surprises when you show up. So download Game Time today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, that's CHAT Sports, for $20 off. I put all that information because I love you guys in the comments and description of today's video. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now, with the signing of Justin Hardee, the special teams depth chart, just to remind everyone, you got your usual suspects, if you will, of Dustin Hopkins, Corey Bojorquez returning, and long snapper Charlie Hewitt. And then they added Nyheim Hines to take over punt and kick returns, in my opinion. And I'll expand on that in a moment. But remember, Justin Hardee is not being signed to be a return man. He is being signed to take down the return man. But let's talk about the special teams unit in general because it's a third of the game, and we should probably give it some more love. So just nerd out with me for a moment here as we have, I would say, a bit of a training camp battle between Jerome Ford and Nyheim Hines to be this team's kick returner. Remember, Jerome Ford had that role to start the year, and then once Nick Chubb got hurt, he became the primary back, and they didn't want to put more on his plate, so they moved him off of kick returns. But now that Nick Chubb is eyeing a return and you added D'Onta Foreman, I wouldn't be blown away if they put Jerome Ford back in that kick return spot. You can have two return men, so we may see Ford and Hines back there for the Browns. Now, Hines, not just a kick returner, also a punt returner as well. In his career, 89 returns, an average of 11.4 yards a return, and 2 touchdowns to go along with it. Remember when he was with the Bills the last time he played, he had the big kick return to open up the game against the New England Patriots in that wild card round playoff matchup. So I'm thinking Nyheim Hines was more of a special team signing, and this is a little bit of a Captain Obvious here, than a running back signing, right? Initially, he was the first running back signed, so that's kind of all we had to go off of. Well, I guess Nyheim Hines is going to have a role in this running back room because as things stand right now, until Nick Chubb returns, it's Ford, Hines, John Kelly, and Pierre Strong Jr. But once they added D'Onta Foreman, well, now you've got Ford and Foreman. You could probably tread water with those two guys and Hines being a receiving back, a scat back, if you will, until Nick Chubb returns. And just the overall buzz out of Berea right now is Nick Chubb's return is looking very positive as a sooner rather than later type of return. Now, another name that kind of got, mixed in the commotion of free agency was the re-signing of James Proche. Remember, he joined the team mid-season. I think his first game was against the Ravens. He replaced Donovan Peoples-Jones as the punt returner, and he was better than DPJ at that role. But I don't think James Proche showed us last year that there should not be some level of competition for that role. So now you've got Nyheim Hines also battling with James Proche in some capacity for that punt return job. But I think, excluding injuries, it is going to be Nyheim Hines being your week 1 punt and kick returner for this team. And James Proche is battling for a spot on their roster. I'll also add one more name to the mix. I wonder if teams approach kick and punt returns. Actually, we'll just say kick returns because punt returns really didn't change at all. If they approach kick returns a little differently, because there is an increased amount of safety for the return man, and they toss Elijah Moore back there. right? Maybe they put their teams in general, put their true best return man back there without fear of them getting hurt, because previously it was like a car crash every single kick return because the kicking team started at their own 35, 40-yard line. They had 35, 40 yards of just pure run-up speed to run into a guy that just caught the ball and was just starting to gain his speed back. So it was never really a fair fight for the kick returners until they really started going. And sometimes by the time they caught the ball, the coverage team was on top of them already. So now that changes, do we see Elijah Moore, who's got incredible speed, have a different type of role on this team and maybe add some special teams value? Just something to file away into the tickler file. Okay, let's just talk about the Browns special teams in general as of last year when it comes to return duties, because, kick returns, they, believe it or not, only returned the ball 11 times. They played 17 games. They weren't even averaging a return a game. That is why the NFL wanted to make a change, right? You had teams that every other game would make one return. Now, on those returns, they averaged 23.7 yards, which is why it never made sense to return the football. You could just take a knee or take a fair catch and get an extra yard and a half by going out to the 25 every single time. Punt returns, I found this very interesting. I'm not surprised they were tied for second in the NFL in punt returns. The Browns defense forced a ton of 3-and-outs, 41 returns in general, but they only finished 8th in yardage, right? You had teams that got way fewer opportunities to field a punt, and they got way more yards. So clearly Andrew Berry is looking at this and thinking, we need to plug some holes. If our defense is going to make stop after stop after stop, our special teams, if they're going to have a big role on this team because they're constantly going on to field punts, well, we should get some guys that are good at that job. And to be frankly honest with you, the Browns weren't dreadful in that spot last year. We've seen worse. Bubba Ventrone, I think, made a huge improvement from where the special teams unit was a year ago, but I think there's room to grow. I don't think the Browns should be satisfied. I don't feel like it should be a finished product. So now we're seeing Nyheim Hines and now Justin Hardee join this special teams unit, because overall we're seeing special teams be boosted up a little bit from where it was last season. So with that all being said, I'll let you guys get back to the rest of your Tuesday before we catch up later for the live edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. But grade the Browns free agency so far for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know what letter grade you would give it. For me, I'd give it a B, right? Their biggest signing has been Zadarius Smith. They didn't really have to go out and make a big splashy move. And Andrew Berry's forte or specialty has never been splashy signings. He's addicted to trades. That's where he makes his money. And that's where the Browns got a little, saucy with Jerry Jeudy coming over from Denver. All right, let's wrap up the show by picking a card. Trizzy Trace helping us get this video out as soon as possible. Which card do you want to go with, Trace?
Sticking with the theme of the player, he's number 34 on the Jets, so I'm going to go with 3 of hearts for Hardee.
I like it. I'm going to go with 7 of hearts, the 3 plus 4 mentality, and I like the hearts, so I'm just going to copy that. All right, here we go. Seven of diamonds. 7 of diamonds. All right. That will do it for us. Make sure to tune in for our live show, 5 p.m. Eastern, and we will see you all then.